Hi there, this is Steve Spurrier. You can join University of Florida Hall of Famer Shane Matthews and also the two-time SEC Player of the Year every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, opinions, and some of the biggest names in sports. You can find him on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or you can watch him live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Good win for the Gators last night.
Yeah.
Lady Gators won as well. Baseball did not win, I don't think. JC, you're on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. We'll have Mark Long from the AP, and we'll get his thoughts. He was at Pro Day yesterday. We could talk a little football as well. But Gators didn't play great first half, but came and took care of business in the second half. And I'm not sure if I wanted us to play Arkansas or Texas Tech. I went to bed, JC. I did not realize that Arkansas blew a 13-point lead with 4 minutes left to go in the game. Did you watch it?
Yeah, it was hard to watch. Adu had a free throw to put him up 4, and he missed. And then Texas Tech hit a 3 to tie the game.
Did they not foul? Why did they not foul?
Calipari is, you have to ask him. But in terms of what Florida, I think the case with Florida is maybe just a little case of the jitters to get started, but then they kind of get into their groove and get into their game. And their second half for the second straight day was quite good, and in fact, it was very good, and that's what we're watching. And you have 13 turnovers in the first half, and then you only have 4 in the second half. And Clayton didn't really even have his best game. I think
he shot the ball one time, I think, in the second half.
Yeah, so he only had 13 points.
Driving me insane.
Yeah, he's playing at the home of Steph Curry there, so you would hope that kind of rubs off on him. But he'll be fine. I really think Texas Tech, they have a player named Chance McMillan, who is their best three-point player that did not play last night, and he's got an oblique injury. And if he plays in this next game against Florida, they will be tougher to beat. He
hasn't played in like 2 months, though.
Well, but I mean, they were thinking he could make it last night, and he didn't make it. Now, I don't know how effective he would be if he hasn't played in that long, but he is their best shooter from the outside. Having said that, Florida, I picked to win this region, and I still think it's going to happen. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind, at least. And I think Arkansas had Texas Tech. They had them down. They had them down and out. And to their credit, the Red Raiders, they come back, and now they can try to make this Final Four for the second time, I think, in not too many years. So they're playing good basketball at the right time of year. They're a tough team, but I think Florida is your favorite there and should win the game, but that doesn't mean they will. I just think that you've got to get out of the gate a little bit better. Maybe keep the turnovers down a little bit. The turnovers got Florida again. And my dog is going nuts. Talk for a minute. All right, go ahead,
Go on. Baron 71 on YouTube, brought to you by Claude Plum, says Calipari choked away with a win and poor game coaching.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. They were winning at halftime, and I went to bed. JC, your squad shot the ball 66 times last night. 51 attempts were off from 3-point, and they made 25 of them.
That's a record.
It is a record. I'm hoping they shoot like that when they face Duke tomorrow.
Well, let's say they make half that many. That still gets them 12 or 13 threes. That's 39 points. You want to give them a head start with 39 points, I'll take my chances. But if they shoot like that, they will beat the Knicks. If they shoot like that and the rim looks like an ocean, they will have a very good chance to beat Duke. But Duke is outstanding. And, Arizona, to their credit, had a great comeback last night as well. They were down 19 points, Arizona.
They were.
And got to within 5 in the second half. And then here comes Duke with Cooper Flagg and all his, histrionics. But when you have a guy hit 10 threes and in the second half, he and Holloway both had 6 in one half. And when that team shoots like that, they're not going to lose. But I don't know if they can keep that pace up for sure. But listen, you get them running. That's how they practice, QB. And if Duke wants to go tempo with them, I'll take my shot with Alabama. Absolutely.
Well, you will, as long as you make shots. If you miss shots, they'll blow you out. That's the key.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's how they play. I don't know if Alabama statistically was a great three-point shooting team, but last night they were the best three-point shooting team since Loyola Marymount of 1990. So that's 35 years that record is held. Loyola Marymount had the record for threes at 21, and Alabama blew that out at 25. So, that was rather surprising to see. And BYU didn't even play that badly. They didn't play badly at all. They scored 88 points. They hit their team total, and but they got beat. And it was a good season from BYU. But Alabama covers, wins. Florida covers, wins. We said Florida would cover. Duke did not cover, and Arkansas covered, getting the 5.5 against Texas Tech last night. So a good night for your boy here. And I just hope that, and the overs come charging through last night. So that was wonderful to see as well. So a much better night last night.
Much better. So
much better.
Let's see. There's a couple of questions here. I can't find them now. Dadgummit. Anyway, I thought Denzel Aberdeen played really well.
Yeah, he did.
I thought Thomas Houck was phenomenal last night.
Yeah, Condon out. Yeah.
And here's the thing. I think Condon's a very good player. But Condon, to me, is always I feel like he's a step slow when he gets the ball down low. The ball gets stolen from him.
Yeah.
He's getting pushed around a little bit by the big guys from the opposing team. I think Houck's athleticism, his quickness, passing ability. I'm not saying it was a good thing that Condon went out, because we need everybody we can. But I just think Thomas Houck is a much better player. That's me personally. I differ from the NBA scouts, but that's what my eyes tell me.
I think we need to pull a plug on this NBA thing with Alec. Alec needs to play.
Ready for the NBA.
Yeah, hang out here for another year, Alec, at least. Listen, it's just great to see a team with all this depth put it to use, and clearly, when they came out in the second half of the last two games, they showed us what they're made of this year and what this team is all about, because their second half has been tremendous. Last night, 4 turnovers, shot the ball much better, and really made a move on Maryland. We knew Maryland's depth was going to be a problem in this game, and it certainly was, because Florida just kept wearing you out. That's kind of what Alabama and Florida do, and Auburn to a certain extent, and maybe even Tennessee. They just wear you down, and they wear you down for 40 minutes. And I didn't think Maryland had a chance to stay with Florida for 40 minutes, maybe 20, but not 40 with only 5 players. And now we can put to rest this Willard guy, who's probably going to go to Villanova now, and we don't have to ask him any more questions about NIL and things like this, and we can move on.
Yeah. JB wants me to ask you this question, JC.
JB.
Brought to you by Mellon Law. Who is the best basketball program of the last 25 years?
The last 25 years?
Yeah, because JB and I kind of went back and forth on
the best basketball program. Well, I think I don't know. UConn, maybe? I don't know.
That's exactly.
Oh,
that was my choice. He says no, it's Kentucky and Duke, and I'm like, Kentucky won a national title.
I mean, 25 years, that takes us back to 2000. Yeah, no, it's UConn. It's absolutely
UConn, hands down, not even close.
Well, and I think UConn has got the titles to prove that. Do they not?
Yeah, they got 6.
Okay, well, that takes care of that argument.
Yeah.
That takes care of that argument really well. I mean, 6 titles, dear Lord.
Yeah, we're not going to waste time on that today.
Well, I'm glad I got the answer right.
Yes. Well, that's your opinion and my opinion. It's not.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Daniel says Duke. I disagree with that. It's not even. It's not Duke's not even close.
Duke?
No.
Duke? No, it's not Duke. North Carolina has as many titles as Duke in the last 25 years.
I think the mighty Gators probably do.
Yeah, the Gators are working on 2. They're working on 3, I should say. So. Yeah. Anyway. I mean, UConn is just they're a dynasty type program, and he's going to have another good team next year. Don't kid yourself. They're humble. Listen, that guy, what was his name? The coach, Jim. Anyway, the Duke coach,
Jim Calhoun.
Calhoun, yeah.
And Kevin Ollie won a national title as a coach too.
Yeah, Calhoun's a Hall of Famer, and like you said, the other guy, and now Hurley with 2 of them, and. Yeah, it's the Huskies, but anyway, you're right. Let's not water down this fine program with UConn talk. It's Florida basketball. Fantastic. So I mean,
I've never understood that. That's so silly to me. Andy asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. Shane, after the season's over, would you consider getting Bennett Anderson on the podcast? Got a great story. Yeah, I have no problem getting Bennett on if he wants to come on.
you put
He was
anybody on.
manager, now he's a walk-on, but yeah, he
He
scored.
scored.
Here's JC. How many times have I said this on this program?
Yeah.
Pod empties the bench and our damn guys try to score. I love it.
Yeah, and they should. And that's why they play, right? To score on offense and to stop them on defense. I think Florida, if they just clean up a little bit with the turnovers, they should have.
Speaking of the turnovers, here's what I was thinking. I even text Chris Harry this while he was busy working.
Yeah, he likes that. He's into that.
Yeah, I annoy the hell out of him during the game.
That's right.
Because we had a bunch of turnovers, as did Maryland, right? A lot of the turnovers were. Some were passes, but some of them were just like dribbling the basketball.
Yeah.
I felt like there was too much air in the ball.
If
you play basketball and when they bring out those new balls and it's got too much air in it, that thing is bouncing all over the place. Okay. That's what I felt like.
Kind of like a corked baseball. Yeah. By the way, that started yesterday. If you didn't know that, baseball opening day. I guess the Dodgers are just going to go 163-0. With all their international.
Do they play 163 games now?
However many.
I thought it was 162.
So I guess they'll go 162-0 with all their international superstars. And we might as well just shut down the National League right now. Just quit. Let's just wait. Let's just get on with the pennant. But I tell you, they're going to be a tough team to beat. I think that's a great division. The San Diego and Arizona are no slouches. Those are good teams. And I think the East in the National League with the Phillies and the Mets and the Braves are going to be a very good competitive division to watch. In the American League, I don't really have any idea. Maybe the Texas Rangers. Really, if Jake DeGrom stays healthy, that could be a great addition to the team, to their staff, because he was unavailable last year. And he's the best pitcher in baseball when he's healthy, QB. So maybe the Rangers, in the American League, but we'll see. Red Sox, perhaps. I don't know.
Chris and Mayaka on the Titan MR text line says, no betting odds for Duke and Bama yet on Hard Rock. I wonder if the Seminole Indians are unsure what to think of.
Well, you can't, like I said yesterday, you cannot put the total high enough with Alabama. At one point, the total was over 200 in that game with BYU last night. And BYU was trying as hard as they could and still scored 80.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem BYU had. Alabama likes to get up and down the floor. You can take them out of their game to a point by slowing it down. BYU wanted to run with them, which was stupid, right? Duke is, like I said, they have the tallest basketball team in America.
Yeah.
I would think John Shire is going to watch the tape because he probably watched the game before his game, and they're going to have some kind of plan to slow the pace down.
Well, it would be to their benefit to slow it down. That's just how Alabama practices too, and right. So that's what they do. And if Duke wants to run with Alabama, I think Bama is as live as any underdog in the Elite Eight. And we'll see.
Well, I have four teams going to four SEC teams in the Final Four. Of course, yes. I have Alabama beating Duke. Yes, what's interesting is today's game. And JC, let's let you do some Peachland Dental.
Right.
Number one choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
I went 4-0 yesterday.
Well, okay. Well,
so let's look at it.
There's some picks today. The big one to me is Tennessee. Did you know Tennessee's never been to a Final Four?
That's crazy. That's crazy. I did not, but I did hear that. Kentucky's beaten this team twice this year already. Kentucky, though, I don't know is as healthy as maybe they were during the year. They're catching 4, and that's who I took. I took Kentucky. Look, it's not so much it's hard to beat a team 3 times. It's hard to beat a good team 3 times. And Tennessee is a very good team. So I understand the rationale behind Tennessee, but I'm gonna scoop up those points because I think the 3-point shooting for Kentucky has gotten better in this tournament. As far as Mississippi and Michigan State goes, I know the world is on Michigan State. They love the Spartans' grittiness, but I think with Chris Beard and the way he draws up game plans and the way Mississippi plays in these situations, I can't help but just think I'm going to take the 3.5 with Mississippi as well, and that scares me. I'm not crazy about that.
Well, let me just say this.
Not crazy about that.
They always talk about fishy lines. That's a fishy line to me.
Well, I mean,
You think Michigan State should be about a 7-point favorite, right?
I know. Well, you do, and then Mississippi double-digited the last team they played and was very impressive against Iowa State. I don't know.
Which
I
means
get it.
nothing for this game.
I get it, but it just means to me though that Mississippi is playing its best basketball, perhaps at the right time.
Well, here, let me just say this, because when you look at so Houston and Auburn are both 8.5-point favorites, a 1 over a 4, a 1 over a 5. Michigan State being a 2 seed over a 6 seed, I feel like it should be at least 6.
Well, I think
the Rebels win the game.
Well, one thing Michigan State does not do as well as some of the other teams, and that's shoot the three. They're not a great 3-point shooting team. I like I said, I'm not crazy about the pick, but I don't want to go into a 2-possession game potentially and have to cover that. So I'm going to take the 3.5. As far as the Michigan-Auburn game goes, I don't know how you can pick against Michigan when you're catching points like this. Right now, they're catching everything. They're playing great with the two towers. I think we'll find out if Broom and the other guy can match up. And even though this game's in Atlanta, I don't think Michigan cares, and I'm going to catch the 9 here. It says 9 on Hard Rock. It might be 8.5, 9. And then with Purdue and Houston, I think we're looking at a close game early. I think Houston wears them out. I'm not sure about laying the 8, so I'm going to take the under in this game. I'm going to go under 132 as opposed to laying the 8. This is a home game for Purdue. But Houston is one of the most aggressive and athletic teams you'll ever watch. And I like Houston to win the game. I like the score to be somewhere in the low 60s. And I don't think Purdue's gonna score a lot of points. So I'm going to take under in Houston. I'm going to take the 9 with Michigan. I'm going to catch the 3.5 with Mississippi, and I'm going to catch the 4 with Kentucky. Now this is 3 underdogs. Last night, favorites had a good time. Well, let's see. Arkansas covered as a dog, and the other dog was help me out here, QB. I'm drawing a blank.
There were Arizona.
Arizona covered the 9 points there. So they backdoored that.
So JC, let me just give you a little point here, just to be careful on your overs. So yesterday they played in basketball arenas.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Auburn and Ole Miss games are in a basketball arena.
That's right.
The Kentucky, Tennessee, Purdue, Houston game,
right?
They're in a damn football stadium.
And that's why I'm going under. That's one of the reasons why I took under with Houston.
So be careful with Kentucky shooting. Tennessee's not a great shooting team other than the one kid that transferred from North Florida. But it could be some tough shooting in that damn Lucas Oil arena. I don't know why they're not playing where the Pacers play. That makes no sense.
I agree. That's the building's right next door. It's right there. But
instead they got to construct. They have to bring in a floor. They have to. It's dumb.
They just want more people in the seats, and Purdue's going to bring 30,000 people. I mean, it's pretty clear to me.
But they already had it. They already had the venue set before they knew who was coming.
That's true. They didn't know Purdue was going to beat their 2 teams, but they had Purdue locked into that region. You're right. I mean, it's all true. Kentucky is going to have a massive amount of fans. Tennessee's going to have a massive amount of fans. I thought Florida was well represented last night out there in San Francisco in the Bay Area. Good for the Gator fans who either live out there or traveled out there. It was nice to see blue. And do
you think everybody from Gainesville went there, JC?
I don't think.
Or do you think some people from like Dallas and from
Denver
and Oakland?
I'd say the people from Gainesville that went there played and coached. And probably also was a member of maybe a family member. But I do think, I think.
And most of the family members of our basketball team do not come from Gainesville.
Well, they live in Gainesville, though. Man.
No, they don't.
Oh, they don't? Okay. Well, the coach's wife does.
How many family members of the basketball team you think live in Gainesville?
I know on players' families.
Yes.
I get that. I totally get that. But coaches and so forth.
Right.
So, listen, I'm just saying, it's a long way to go to play a team from the Eastern Seaboard out of the Big Ten. And they did fine, and they were well represented. But tonight, you're going to see a real atmosphere. Well, you're going to see a lot of fans watching games tonight. And I think they delivered last night. The tournament finally delivered some great games, some great finishes. They looked like blowouts, and they were early. But in the second games, it got dramatic. And, both Arkansas and Duke lost big leads. And it gives credit. You have to give credit to Arizona and certainly Texas Tech coming back like that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But Arkansas covered. Covered the 5.5. Let's go, Hogs.
Electronics World,
Right,
integration and design specialist for smart home automation and entertainment, affordable local installation service and support. electronicsworld.net. We got JC here. We'll have Mark Long. We'll get his thoughts on basketball, but he was at Pro Day yesterday. Natasha says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. We mentioned this earlier. What about the Lady Gators heading they going to Indy playing Hinkle Fieldhouse
Awesome.
for the
So cool.
WBIT Final Four. So congratulations to them.
That is outstanding. That is so good that they are still playing basketball right now, and it's okay. The teams that played in the knit that made it far are still playing, whereas, most of the other teams in the league are not playing now. So let's see. We had 7 teams in the Sweet 16 before last night. We had 1 lose. So we have 6 left. And I was really hoping for Arkansas. I don't care who Florida plays. Either way, I think they win. It'll be interesting to watch them play a team like Texas Tech. But Arkansas played really well at the right time of year. And they were the Cinderella team that was left, if you want to call them that. Because as a 10 seed and somebody who came out of the gates 0-5 in the league, I was surprised to see him even playing last night. But they played well. And Calipari, I think you can say this was a successful first season for him.
Yeah. Text on the Titan Mark text line says Michigan State plays a lot like UConn, which they do. Mississippi will have to win a gritty, low scoring.
And I'm fine with that. I think
Ole Miss can play. Ole Miss can play that game.
You can get in the mud box with them. Absolutely. Yeah. They'll do that. And again, Michigan State is not a specifically good 3-point shooting team. So I think the 3.5 is live. I think they're live on the money line. And I think Mississippi could go to the Elite Eight because how good their coach is. I love their coach. I think Texas really ruined themselves playing virtue signaling BS and firing him on something that was not corroborated. And it cost them. Look at what they're doing right now. They're looking for a coach, or if they already have a coach, I don't even care. But the thing is that Mississippi benefited from Texas's carelessness, I think. And here he is.
Yeah. Baron71 on YouTube, brought to you by Claude Plumman, says maybe the women's Final Four is being played where the Pacers play. No, Hinkle Fieldhouse is where it's being played, where Butler plays, where they filmed Hoosiers.
Dude, it's such a great barn. I mean, it's truly the definition of a barn. Yeah. And this is great. If you ever get a chance to go up that way, take a ride through there because it is really cool. It's like the Minnesota plays in the Williams Fieldhouse or whatever it is.
They call it the barn.
That's the barn too, and those are great places to watch basketball up in the northeast or central north part of the country, and it's basketball, man.
Yes, indeed. All right, this day in sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life at Campus USA Credit Union. In 1977, in the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship, the Marquette
Warriors.
The Marquette Warriors defeat North Carolina.
Yep.
It was their first title. And then Coach Al McGuire.
That was
a broadcaster.
And if I'm not mistaken, that was I want to say it was in Atlanta at the Omni.
That I don't know.
Old Omni in Atlanta, where Dominique Wilkins and Tree Rollins played for the Hawks. Marquette Warriors is what they were.
Yep. Marquette Warriors, no doubt about it.
And everybody wanted to steal Southern Mississippi's mascot, the Nerve. Everybody's a Golden Eagle today. But I mean that was Southern Miss's mascot, and they had to go and steal that to make somebody happy who got his feelings hurt about something that's nonsensical. So anyway, they're the Golden Eagles. Sorry, but they won it as a Warrior.
That's right.
That's right.
As St. John's, I wish they'd go back to the Redmond.
I agree. I mean, that's what the historic Chris Mullen, Walter Berry. I mean, come on, bro. That was St. John's basketball in the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. Yeah.
Here's a text on the Titan MR text line from Jimmy. He says, JC, if the Gators and Alabama make it to the final, are you going?
Well, I will be in Philadelphia, Mississippi on that weekend. But if the Gators play Alabama, it would be in the championship game. So because they're on opposite sides. So I think the answer might be yes, because Doc Newsom and I could just go on down to Jacksonville International Airport, Medgar Evers, and just hop on down to San Antonio and meet my son Jack, who's in Houston. So yes, I think the answer would be yes. I think I might.
Have you ever been to the Riverwalk there, JC?
I've never been to San Antonio. Never been.
It's quite interesting. I've been there a couple of times. It's cool. The
Place?
little Riverwalk. They got the little. You can get on a boat and ride through the
Yeah.
downtown, and you can.
Yeah.
Jason, you may drink too many margaritas. You may jump in that water.
Remember,
Fall in it, I should say.
remember, I boycott sugary drinks, QB.
Well, you can do a skinny margarita. That
Maybe
doesn't
I'll.
have-
Well, I'm not a big drinker anymore. I might do a Dos Equis with a lime or something. Maybe a Modelo, something like that. A beer. I just the beer thing. I've kind of been off it for 6 months. It feels good.
Good for you.
Yeah, it feels good.
Good for you.
Although I can't help myself. I had the free Biloxi Blondes being poured at me during the tournament last week at the Beau Rivage, but I didn't pound them. I sat there for 8 hours. Got $300 in slot credits and used those because my card was in the machine for 8 hours playing video poker and watching basketball. Could there be a better thing on earth?
No, JC, I have a text here that just popped up from Chris and Mike, he says Bama and Florida on the same side of the bracket, JC. I don't think that's true. They are?
No, I think Alabama. No, Alabama is with the Michigan State. No, that's not true. Wait a minute.
Where's your bracket at?
Oh, no kid. Okay, well, maybe Chris is right. I don't believe Chris is right. I think Florida would play Alabama. Alabama's on Duke's side. No, Duke.
Right.
No, they would be playing Houston or somebody like that. If they won, if Alabama wins the East region, they would play the Midwest winner, and the South is going to play the West winner. The South winner is Auburn, let's say, and the West winner is Florida. So those two would play in the Final Four, and Alabama would play the Houston Cougars or Tennessee or Kentucky.
Correct.
Purdue.
Yeah, everybody's chiming in now.
Yeah. So, all right, Chris, it's okay, my man. We all make these little things. But listen, Florida and Alabama could play for the national title. That would be what I was really hoping for were 4 SEC teams, and I think it's still very possible. 4 SEC teams in the Final Four would just crack me up beyond.
That's what I have.
Yes, I mean, I think that would just
all hell will break loose with the people up. The
Big
all the
Ten
purest of all these basketball programs.
Yeah, and there's no Big East team playing right now. The ACC was just an absolute abysmal, patently terrible conference this year. And Duke finally got challenged last night by Arizona, and they're about to get challenged again. So we'll see. I mean, Duke lost one game in the conference. That was to Clemson, and they lost, I think, another game to somebody. But they've not been challenged all year. And last night, Arizona, to their credit, stayed with them. Then Duke went on a little 6-point run before the half. It's a 6-point game. It gets up to 19, and then Caleb Love took over and brought them back to within 5 points with 1:56 to go. So that game was tight there at the last minute, and Arizona covered. That's really what matters. So, game went over as well. It's a great night for JC. Just great.
You took Arizona to cover?
Plus the 9, I got them on the.
Well, because you told me the other day that Duke was going to destroy.
No, and they were on their way, but in the second half, I caught them live at plus 16.
Oh.
It was easy.
Oh.
And then it had the over too. The over was it was a great night.
So JC, this is what you're missing in San Antonio. Asa says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law. In the morning after a late night, you have boats to go around with nets and a guy standing on the front of them, picking up beer cans and condoms out of the water.
Wow, that's a great travel advisor review. Trip Advisor, Asa with Trip Advisor, giving me the.
You don't have to get in the water. You can just hang out.
I'm on the gondola. Okay, it's like I'm not swimming anywhere. That's for sure. I might be swimming in some beer, but I've never been. I'd love to go. Highly doubtful I will after 3 days in Philadelphia, Mississippi, but you never know. I don't know if those two teams are going to end up playing anyway. I mean, Alabama's got to beat Duke. Geez, that's a tall order, but we'll see.
All right, we didn't even talk about golf. I haven't even looked at the golf tournament to see who's.
A lot of no names, QB. It's after that first round. A lot of no names. Nobody that I think we were heavily thinking, and it's okay. I mean, after finishing first and second last week, my picks will take a breather, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, take a breather. We're going to go talk to Mark Long. Have a good weekend, JC. We'll see you on Monday. That's JC. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Quick timeout. Come back. We'll talk with Mark Long about Gator pro day and his thoughts on the basketball game. You're watching and listening to PodUp Matthews in the Morning from the International Diamond Center studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union,
International Diamond Center,
Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, Dave & Buster's, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Signs, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Okido America, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG and A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
What's up, everyone? I'm Mike Pouncey, and this is my twin brother Marquise Pouncey, and this is Life After Football.
Let's go. We are the owners of Tropical Distillery, and JF Hayden's is our liqueur brand.
We have 5 different flavors: a mango, a lychee, an espresso, citrus, and key lime pie. We pride ourselves on not only being a Florida-made brand, but also a cocktail solution. With that being said, cheers,
And go Gators.
The most important thing I learned from my father was work ethic and integrity. Never veer away from integrity, even if it costs you money.
International Diamond Center owner Keith LeClaire.
The core value for IDC is to protect the customer.
That means offering the largest selection, uncompromising quality, the strongest warranties, and honest guidance from experts who are not paid on commission. International Diamond Center at Celebration Point. Online, shopidc.com.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center studios. Florida Cracker is the brand for original Floridians, great food and southern hospitality in the center of the universe, Brooksville, Florida, floridacracker.com. Back to the Titan Tomorrow Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. It's Mark Long from the AP, who covers the Gators. How you doing, my man?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Let's start with basketball first. Just your thoughts on what you saw last night. This team continues to find ways to win. They haven't played great yet, which is probably a good thing. And then my next question is, did you prefer them playing Arkansas or Texas Tech?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think Texas Tech, even though, that defense is pretty legit, I would think, offense is hard to slow down. Their offense is fantastic. At times looks the part. I agree with you that they have not played their best, and that's probably, I don't know if that's telling or if that's a good thing. Todd Golden thought it was a good thing going into this weekend that they didn't play well in the opening weekend. But, again, then they turn around and don't really play well for, 35 minutes against Maryland. And, and then they did what they've done, which is wear people down, right? They wore down Maryland. They wore down UConn. Go back to the SEC tournament. They wore down Tennessee. They wore down Alabama. This is kind of who they've become, is this deep team that, beat you into submission. They're not beating anybody down, but they're certainly wearing everybody down.
Yeah, I agree. So they play tomorrow. I think it's a 6:09 Eastern Standard Time tip against Texas Tech. And I like their matchup against Texas Tech. They just got to find a way. The JT Toppin kid is an outstanding player. But, I was texting with Chris Harry before the game. I always like to give him my game plan leading into it. I was like, we need Ruben to just lean on the Queen kid and just wear him out. And then he got in a little bit of foul trouble, but we got so many bigs. You just got to foul them, beat them up, whatever you can do, and then let our guards take over the game. Mark, we hadn't talked much about Pro Day. You were there yesterday, watched the whole deal. Who stood out to you the most?
Well, Des Watson stood out the most, and not necessarily for good reasons, right? He weighs in at 464, and that's just an eye-popping number when you look at, Billy Napier's really big about verified height, weight, length, speed. Well, his verified speed, his verified weight was 449. So he played supposedly at 449 last season. And for him to show up, 15 pounds over that for what's, generally considered the most important day of your professional journey in terms of trying to get drafted, that raises a pretty big red flag. But I thought Des dropping 36 on the bench, Des, jumping 25 inches on the vertical, Des running sub 6 second on the 40. I thought those were pretty good numbers. He looked winded in some of the workouts, but they also only had 4 defensive linemen rotating through. So it was a lot, probably more than what he would normally see in a practice or what he would see in a OTA or training camp. So I wasn't worried so much about that, but the numbers are good. I still wonder if anybody's going to take a chance on him. I still question. I talked to a lot of scouts yesterday. They're not going to touch him. There were guys who said, we're not drafting him.
Yeah, I don't see that happening either.
It's too much of a gamble. It's it's draft capital, and he's a good space eater, and he might make a team, but it won't be as a drafted guy.
Yeah, I think he'll get a chance as a free agent with somebody, but he's got to go to the right system because, as you said, for a guy that big, he does have good numbers, but that's not going to do you much good on Sunday against those phenomenal athletes that play in that league. It's a different world. I did see where Traquez Bridges ran a really good time. I thought last year, when they had to move him, he played in the slot, and he played some safety, he played some corner there late in the year. I thought he was kind of like the most valuable player of the defense because he did so many things and just a solid player. I wasn't sure how fast he was because I know they look at that 40 time, but that had to help him a lot, don't you think?
Huge. He 4.39, I think is what they clocked him in at, which was the best of the day for any of the Gators. Yeah, he was fantastic. Certainly looked the part, and he even admitted afterwards. He's like, I had a little chip on my shoulder because he didn't get a combine invite. So this was a guy who felt like he had a lot to prove. Position versatility is huge in the NFL. It's huge in college, but this guy has proven to me between Oregon and Florida that he can play safety or corners. Big dudes, got size, got speed. I think he's got a long career in the NFL. I thought Jason Marshall ran a 4.43 on his second pass, which was better than his combine time. I was a little surprised Shamar James didn't run because he was 14th out of 16 linebackers at the combine and with a 4.69. Not a great combine time, 40 time for him. And I thought he would run again. He did not. RJ Moten, I thought, was a guy who stood out a little bit in all the drills, certainly the speed, 19 on the bench press. That was pretty impressive. Jamarcus Weston, 28 on the bench, Derek Wingo, 24. Again, these guys are, maybe they catch somebody's eye, but you go and you look at the tape and, I don't think Derek Wingo is going to get drafted. And then the one guy, Graham Mertz, all he did was throw, but he had a lot of mobility, 5.5 months removed from surgery, had the knee brace on the left knee, but he was moving around really well and threw it really well. And then DK, I don't know that he could raise his stock anymore, but he caught everything thrown to him, even some balls that were overthrown. He got to him and hauled him in. I thought, he was absolutely spectacular. And if he hadn't already improved his stock with his combine, I think this probably, guaranteed that he's going to be in the mix to be one of those first 2 or 3 guys drafted. I do think it's going to be Cam Jackson, Shamar James, DK will probably be the top 3 guys.
Did Montrell work out?
He did position drills, but that was it. He didn't run.
He ran a
didn't
pretty
lift.
good time at the combine, right?
Yeah, he was fine. He didn't need to run. Most of those combine guys didn't. Jason Marshall was the only guy who actually did run, I believe, from the combine guys. But yeah, all of them did position drills and met with teams and whatnot like that. So, and Montreal looked good. He looked fine as well. It's hard, right? Running backs, some of those guys need to be in pads to really gauge them, but he looked fine.
Yeah. I think Montreal's got a chance to play in the league for a while because I think he's got great football common sense, so to speak. He knows what to do. He'll stick his head in there and protect, and that's key. And he catches the ball pretty well. Back to Graham, we had a couple of people ask, and he did throw yesterday. Once he was injured, I would talk to some scouts, at halftime or before a game in the press box, and they all liked him a lot. I think they're going to like him even more, and I'm sure when he interviews or he had his meetings at the combine, because this dude knows football, right? He has that coach speak already.
Oh yeah.
Don't you think he's like a fifth round guy, probably fifth or sixth, and could probably be a backup in the league for a while?
I think I wouldn't be shocked if he goes in the fourth, to be honest. And that's what I heard from a couple of people yesterday, that's where they project fourth, fifth round guy, going to be in the league a long time. And we even talked to him afterwards, and his pitch to teams is, I know how to lead men. And I was like, wow, that's pretty strong. I mean, he's, it's not like he's a 40-year-old coach here, but, at 22, 23 years old, coming out and saying that. And he's been a 4-time captain, Shane. I don't know how many times you were a team captain, but 4 times, twice at Wisconsin and then twice at Florida. That's impressive to do it at 2 different schools, to be a 5th year. I think he was 5 years in college, and to be a team captain 4 of those 5. That's some impressive resume building. And again, he's got a good enough arm, smart as a whip. He said where he really thinks he's going to excel is at the whiteboard. He's going to sit down with all these teams, and he's been in a number of different offenses, different styles of offense, and he thinks that's really going to project well.
Yeah, he's what you want in a backup quarterback, a guy who's not going to rock the boat. It's going to be great in the locker room and help young people learn. Norris on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. He wants to know what you thought about Big Dez's combine, Shane. Well, he didn't go to the combine. He was at Pro Day. I was not there. Mark was. He just told you what he did. They said he looked pretty good, but I still seriously doubt. And I think Mark agrees that any NFL team is going to take a chance on him.
Yeah,
It's a draft.
6'6", 464. I mean, he would be the heaviest guy ever drafted in the history of the NFL. Nobody over the 380 is. Trenton Brown is one of 2 guys at 380 pounds who have been drafted. Nobody over 400's ever been drafted. So this would be unprecedented, that not only is he over 380, but he's 80 pounds, 84 pounds over 380, of the heaviest guy ever drafted. And this is the pattern I looked at, Shane. 385 in 2021, 415 in 2022, 435 in 2023, 449 in 2024, and now he's 464 in 2025. And this is with, as Billy Napier acknowledged yesterday, they have had multiple nutritionists, multiple experts working with Dez for the 3 years he's been here, and the results show that it's not going the direction you'd hope he'd go. And again, as I point out, it's a huge red flag that he weighs in at his all-time high. Maybe not all-time high, but all-time what they've listed him at for his what many consider his most important day of his pro journey.
Yeah, it's almost you almost want Dez just to try to figure out how to get that weight down, just so it'll be safe for him to live. Andy's question for you, Mark, on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. If you were forming a 4x100 relay team from the Gator football team, who would you select?
Ooh, well, Tank Hawkins, I'm putting on there for sure. That guy's got, burner speed. So Tank Hawkins for sure. DK, I'd have a hard time not putting DK on there.
I never knew how fast he was, because I don't want to say he didn't play fast, he was just a solid receiver, did all the little things that you don't teach, but I didn't realize how fast he was, which is going to help him at the next level.
Oh, no doubt. Those two guys for sure. Probably Vernell Brown. I mean, everything you hear about him is he flies absolute burner speed. So I'd probably put Vernell Brown the third on there. And then closing it out. Gosh, that's a very good question. I don't know who I'd have close it out. Probably Aiden Mizell, right? That's the other guy who's got that burner speed. I'd probably have Aiden Mizell, Tank Hawkins. Who is the other one? Oh, DK, and then Vernell Brown. There's my four. All right, got to it eventually.
So Mark, I don't know how many practices you've been to. It's hard to tell about anything in spring football, but obviously there was a lot of conversation when practice started about DJ not throwing. Any concerns from you about that?
Yes, absolute major concern. And I got in a lot of hot water because I called it fishy, right? And I even had some people over at the facility call me and said there's nothing fishy about it. It's absolutely fishy. It's fishy because nobody wants to talk about it. They want to, Billy Napier said it's left over from the season. And then you're going, wait, well, why are we? It's March. Right. They stopped playing in mid-December, December 20th, right? Was their game. He shouldn't have anything lingering and left over, 3 months later. And he shouldn't be shut down for all of spring. That's what it sounds like this is going to be, a guy who's shut down for all of spring. That is a major concern for me. And I assume it would be for the Gators as well. And maybe it helps them long term. But everything I hear over there is that there will be surgery at some point. Maybe not this year, maybe next year, but at some point he's going to have surgery before the NFL happens. So to me, if you're trying to play through something that eventually is going to need surgery, that's to me is a big red flag.
Yeah, it's it concerns me. There's no question about it. I've said multiple times on my program here, I think kids nowadays, all these quarterbacks, it doesn't matter what position you play in football, they do too much training and crazy stuff. I was telling somebody the other day, Mark, I go back to my playing days, and I don't like to be that guy. 30 years ago, this is what we did. But we worked out a little bit. I mean, Coach Spurrier, all he made quarterbacks do is jump rope and do these basketball tosses against the wall for your hand muscle. That's all we were required to do. I wish I would have lifted a little bit more. Absolutely. But I played with Jerry Odom, Johnny Nichols, and Kyle Morris for Westside Baptist softball. We won like 3 state tournaments traveling around in the summer playing. I played intramural basketballs. We had a basketball team that we did real well. I won the 3-point shooting contest. I played golf. I guess what I'm saying is I got away from football.
Yeah.
And I just think it's crazy what these people do now. And I think they wear their bodies out at a young age. And it's but there's all this technology and science and everything, but I disagree with it.
No, I agree with you. I think it's become 12 months a year, and we're seeing it in the NFL. We're seeing the push for the players to get away, right? Less OTAs, less training camp, no more 2-a-days, certainly no 3-a-days. The stuff that you went through in your NFL career routinely, they've gotten away from that. And to me, colleges on the flip side are trying to get more control. They want everybody here in January. They want them to go through spring. They want them to have a real organized summer. And then they want to go back and do the 2-a-days in camp. So it's really, to me, usually you have a trickle-down effect from the NFL. But I think in terms of wearing guys out, you've seen it the absolute opposite, that the college programs are stuck in the 1990s and the 2000s of what the NFL was doing.
Yeah. Miapa Latin Cafe. Discover the ultimate Cuban culinary experience at Miapa Latin Cafe. 5 locations in Gainesville and Alachua. You're never far from the best Cuban food north of Miami. A few more minutes here with Mark Long from the AP. Mark, we got a question here on the Titan MR text line from James. He wants to know, Mark, how many games does Billy have to win next year?
Well, tell me who's going to be his quarterback, because I almost think that if Lagway, if there's something there, maybe he gets a little bit of a pass. But I would say it's a big year for Billy. I don't think there's any question about it. I don't know that there's a number on it. I said this going into last year. It needed to look different. That's what I was told. It needed to look different. Well, it looked different. It definitely did. Not the first two of the first 3 games, but it certainly looked different down the stretch. And I would think that set the bar. It raised the bar, and it set the tone for what this year needs to look like. It needs to look much more like the end of last year than the beginning of last year. And if it does that, I think Billy will be fine. And he'll be back here in 2026 with DJ Lagway as quarterback, and the Gators will be a trendy pick to be a playoff team.
Yeah, I want us to be going into the Georgia game. This is what I say. I want us to be in the conversation of possibly being in the playoffs. I think it's crucial there. Norris says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melon, I don't know if you've heard this. He says that DJ has been throwing with AR's trainer.
I don't know that. I would be surprised. I was told he was going to shut it down for the spring. It would not throw at all. Maybe some simulated motion to keep his arm loose, but in terms of really throwing the ball down, again, when I say throw, is he throwing to a manager or a receiver 10 yards away? Maybe that's fine. But I'm talking about really throwing, opening up and getting your arm, that whole motion, full throw, all that. I've heard that's not going to happen until, the summer, and see where it's at from that standpoint. So if he is doing it, I'd be a little surprised. If he's doing it in terms of just to stay loose and to maybe work on some of the mechanics there, I wouldn't be surprised at that. But I don't think he's actually throwing a football down the field.
I don't know why he needs to be working with a trainer on that. You can do that here in Gainesville. That's just my 2 cents. Mark, good stuff as always. Somebody also want to know who would win a 3-point shooting contest between you and Edgar.
Oh, I would crush Edgar. Edgar used to be a really good basketball player, and he claims he could really shoot the 3, but he hasn't touched a basketball in years, maybe decades. His shoulder's all jacked up, and I shoot it on a daily. I got a 9-year-old. He's about to be 10, and he plays basketball year round. So I shoot daily. I would crush Edgar. It would be Steph
hilarious.
Curry versus Des Watson.
That's hilarious. Mark, good stuff as always. Let everybody know they can follow you on Twitter.
Yeah, at AP Mark Long. That's where I'm at.
Very simple. Mark, appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We'll talk to you soon. That's Mark Long from the Associated Press. Join us on the Titan More Hotline courtesy of Comfort Temp. Injuries occur whenever and however, and it's never convenient. For sprains, strains, and minor fractures, UF Health OrthoCare makes it convenient for you. 7 days a week, including evenings when walk-ins are welcome. That's UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. All right, folks, Gators tomorrow, 6:09 Eastern Standard Time against the Texas Tech Red Raiders to go to the Final Four. We'll break it all down on Monday. Have a great weekend. See you then. Take care.